And then we start bumping into people like wildfire. We bump into these two guys, start busting our balls. Like, you guys are crashing this party, aren't you? We're like, all right, pal.
No, it wasn't just all right, pal. Julio was walking. We were walking towards the bar. Julio walks by them after they make the comment, and then he turned around and was like, "No, we're the talent. I'm supposed to be here. Here's my wristband." So it was. I'm glad you did that.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Oops the Podcast. Julio Gallerati here with my pal and confidant, Ryan Lynch.
Yo, yo, yo.
The guy who's doing it all. I love it all.
What's up?
Thank you guys for coming out last night to see me in Liberty Township, Ohio. Killer show. Really, really fun. Look forward to seeing you tonight in Louisville, Kentucky. Big show. It's going to be sick. Very much looking forward to it. Also, I'm in St. Pete the weekend of the 10th of November on Friday. And then West Jordan, Utah, the 17th and 18th, I believe. And Toronto, 12/16. That's going to be a hot one. Those tickets are going pretty quick, so try to get some of those. And I'll see you guys on the road. Looking forward to it. Old Lynch and I went to a little event the other day for some of our partners that we work with. We had a couple of drinks. Networking event. We drank. So we tried to get Mezcal Negronis. It was a Mexican restaurant, so I was hoping that they might have them, but they ended up not having them, which sucked. So then I sort of was like, I don't even know what I'm going to have. I ended up having a Mezcal on the rocks. Got Ryan there having one too, which I know is a special occasion for Ryan. He's not usually a weeknight drinker.
No, I'm not.
So it was good to have you in the mix.
Yeah, when I'm out with somebody, I tend to, if they take the lead on what they're ordering, I'll just go with it. But I'll try to make it seem like I was going to get that anyway. So I wanted to get Mezcal on the rocks, though I never drink liquor on the rocks. It was good.
Yeah, it was good.
It was nice.
It's a nice drink. Yeah, so we had a couple of drinks. We sat in the corner because we didn't really know anybody. And the people who we did know, we have like Zoomed with, of course. So like it was kind of hard. So we're sort of like, all right, let's just sit in the corner and people will talk to us. So we get some chips brought over to us. We enjoy some drinks. We end up getting another drink. And I had dinner planned right after this party, like in the middle of it. And I kind of fucked up a little bit because this party, I probably should have planned to go to it for the whole time. It was only 2 hours. And as I was planning to go, they started giving speeches. So I'm like, okay, I need to stay for the speeches. Then I was planning to go, and then we start bumping into people like wildfire. We bump into these two guys, start busting our balls. Like, you guys are crashing this party, aren't you? We're like, all right, pal.
No, it wasn't just all right, pal. Julio was walking. We were walking towards the bar. Julio walks by them after they make the comment, and then he turned around and was like, "No, we're the talent. I'm supposed to be here. Here's my wristband." So it was. I'm glad you did that.
I kept giving Ryan pep talks about how we needed to dress like the talent.
Yeah. Hats and hoodies.
Yeah, hats and hoodies. But dude, I had a nice time, and it's funny that night turned into like sort of a big night for me. I mean, I went to dinner after, and I had another drink, and then I was like really feeling it, and I ended up doing like a podcast. Like I think I had a spot. Yeah, I had a spot, and then I ended up doing a podcast like late around the time where like if I didn't keep drinking, I just start to kind of like get hungover in real time. So like I'm doing this podcast with like bright lights on me, and suddenly I'm like feeling hungover in real time. And I was like so tired and dehydrated, and like the next day I felt really like uniquely drained from that experience.
What time was the recording?
10:30.
This was the last thing you did that night?
Yeah. It was. We recorded it at the stand. It was fun. It was a great pod. But yeah, I was like pretty worn down from it, and I felt bad because I had friends in the car. I had Zach, my manager, and then my new pal Noah Rubin, who's a tennis player, who we've been meeting to meet up for like ever. He's out there doing his thing. So and I obviously am as well. So like we haven't been able to coordinate our schedules. Finally, this was the time, and they were like waiting for me outside, and they were like waiting for me for a while. Like,
how long?
Probably like 15 minutes, which is like kind of a while. So like I just had to dip, and I left Ryan like in the middle of a conversation with a bunch of people, but I'm confident that he crushed it for us, for our brand.
I was just stuck. I was like, for 40 minutes.
Yeah. But I told him, oh, you stayed till the end of the party?
Well, they had a raffle. I forgot to ask you for your ticket.
Fuck.
They were putting out one item. It was an iPad, and Victoria really wants an iPad.
Oh man.
And I told Victoria, I was like, I'm going to be a little late for dinner tonight. And then, she wasn't upset with me because I told her, I cushioned it with, but I'm going to be bringing home an iPad. And I waited, and they didn't call my number the first time. They called somebody named Nathan, and immediately someone was like, he's not here. He already left. Pull another ticket. Like, everyone wanted the iPad.
But did Nathan end up getting it? Or
No, they immediately pulled another one. That's why you stay.
That's why
That's why I wish I asked you for your raffle ticket, but I thought you would have been like, Ryan, that's a little lame.
Imagine how they're like, GIULIO? And you're like, fuck.
Do you think I would have been able to get the iPad if
said you were me?
Well, if I was like, oh, I was with him. I'll give it to him.
Maybe.
I don't know. A lot of people, they were eager to get the iPad. They were just as like, they were waiting and hoping as much as I was. So I ended up not getting it. But I did stay till the very end. Yeah, for that
Thank you
reason.
for doing that. And guys, I don't want you to think that I left Ryan in the dust. I told him, I was like, we'll stay till 7. I've told him in advance. We met outside. We went in there. We hit it hard. We did some schmoozing. Ryan bumped into an old friend. We talked to that person. She seemed very nice. And we were just chopping it up.
Schmoozy and boozy.
Chopping it up, doing it big, living the life.
It was fun.
What more can you do? It was fun.
It was fun.
Time. I had a nice time with you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Sure, good.
I had a good time with you too.
Thanks. Just a night on the town. The boys out there ripping it. And bro, I will tell you this. The new Bad Bunny album is out and it is fire. Everything that you could want out of a Bad Bunny album, this delivers. It's got some of the bops. He's doing a little singing. He's doing a little trap, but it's really paying homage to his trap roots. You can get him doing some singing. It's just gracias por nada, gracias por nada. But don't forget a little tu no ve cabrón te bulao, bulao, ha ha ha. This shit is hard, dude. And it has all the great fucking features on there too. Some OGs, some new people. You got Brian Mayel. Got Real G for life, baby. It's really hard. If you are a fan of the genre, this is a great album for you. I'm already hearing it everywhere. And I've been listening to it on repeat. And it goes extremely hard. So I'm going to be staying up real late the next few weeks. Sorry, Hill Dog.
I walked in here today, and before Julio said hi, he pointed to the couch and was like, sit. And then he showed me like 2 or 3 of his music videos.
Oh, yeah. Dude, there's this, like the first song is like a classic thing that they'll do, which is like, it'll be just a really long song with like a nice little melody, whatever. And then the second song is a song called Monaco that has like a similar sort of melody, but like a little more kind of like sexy. And then it like immediately turns into like a trappy, like they use the sample and then it's like, it's a hard beat, dude. And it's just like a great way to kick off the album. Hillary was listening to the album for the first time and she was listening on shuffle. And I was like, what are you doing, dude?
That bothers you?
Yes. I'm like, the artist intended it for it to be listened to in a specific way. You should at least listen to it that first way. She's like, okay, well, I don't want to listen to it that way. And I was like, okay, that's a good point. But like, the Young Chimmy track was intended to be listened to number 14 or wherever it is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't need, it's too hard to just be Glizzy Gang, Murder Gang on the first song, dude. So that why, you know what I mean? So anyway, she's out there doing it her way. I respect it. But the album really fucking slaps, man.
Are there a lot of songs in the album where it's like 2 mini songs in one and then there's an interlude?
There's a couple.
Okay.
I know that's like the Travis Scott effect. He started that.
Yeah. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. You don't like it?
I like it. It sounds nice. I wish that you could have versions like, let's say, like Nights by Frank Ocean. That second half, which is like only like a minute long, you have to listen to the first 4 minutes to get there. I wish I could just listen to that version at the very end of the song as its own single.
Yeah.
It's also kind of tough when you're in the middle of a workout and it's going fast, like,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
70-second interlude, and then it's like slow jams.
I feel you. It can be hard. It's like, it almost feels like you're watching a movie or something as opposed to like listening to a song, especially if there's a song where you only like half of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like a good example on the new Travis Scott album, there's a song called My Eyes. And like the second half of the song is the hardest verse on the entire album. But the first half of it is like a very Frank Ocean style. Like, you know how he does like the manipulated voice that's like a much higher pitch. Roly-poly on my wrist. Yeah. Or whatever. I don't even know what he says specifically. But then like the hardest verse on the song or on the album. And I'm thinking like there are people who are too ADD and who are going to miss this verse and not even know about it. And it's happened. I've been with my friends playing it. They're like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, this is my eyes. Like, oh my God. Like I skipped through that like halfway through it, you know? So there are times where like, but then there's times where it's a classic, like Sicko Mode, when it's like he tosses out that beat and it just goes into the next part of the song.
Yeah.
That was pretty hard.
Yeah, that one's an exception. That one really slaps very hard.
But I agree with you. That one slaps quite hard.
It slaps pretty well.
Like a light.
How do you, so the album came out. How do you listen to an album for the first time when it's released? Is it midnight and you refresh?
I like to do that if I can, but some nights if I'm too tired, I won't do it. And then sometimes it's like hard to find the perfect environment to listen to it for the first time. If you're like walking around doing errands, you inevitably will start getting distracted like 10 tracks in, you know, and I hate when that happens. So I love to listen on a car ride for the first time, a place where I can listen to it really loud and where I can focus on it. If it's something that a release I'm really looking forward to. But it'll only be for like artists who have like already proven themselves to me, where I like have amazing relationships with some of their music. Like if Thugger drops a new one, I'll like give him my full attention. Travis Scott, Bad Bunny, certain other like Latin artists, whatever.
Cool.
Even my girl Karol G, Rosalia, to name a few. I don't know. One fun thing to do, bro, in a Bad Bunny song, especially now it's become a little more popular, but he's kind of always been doing it. But like to see if you can pick up when he's saying names of people, because you won't catch it. Because it's like, it just sounds like Spanish, but he's saying like Tom Brady. He's like, Tombre. Tombre. Because there's a specific time in this song, I think, actually, I don't know which song he says it in. It might be in Monica, or maybe it's in this Velvet Candy Bee song that I was just singing before. But like, yeah, he literally says Tim Duncan.
How does he say
Tim
it?
Duncan Poteao, which must mean posting up or something. I don't.
The checks.
And I'll tell you what, if you're wondering, well, I don't know what they're saying, how could I possibly connect with it? I don't know what they're saying either. And it's hard, dude. The way that things are said are as important as what's being said, in my opinion. Granted, you can get in trouble with that a little bit, obviously, but these are songs. People are like, oh, they're talking about nasty things. I'm like, okay, dude, I don't give a shit. So they do in hip hop too. Partying and girls, sweet. It's great subject matter. You know, I'm impressed with the way people put words together more so than I am with what they're saying personally. But of course, I can appreciate good depth to lyrics as well. Ooh, what did he just say? I like that.
Earlier today, I said, do you understand what he's saying? And you're like, nope. And I feel like that's a barrier that a lot of people are just afraid to cross to start listening. I know his album came out, and I'm excited for you and for the people that are excited, but I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. I feel like I need to listen to him as a feature so I can get a little English in there, so then I can kind of flow into feeling, I don't know why I'm uncomfortable listening to music that's sung in Spanish.
It's just funny to me that like, okay, I know that like I'll be talking about this and some people will think that it's like fucking cringe or whatever, but bro, like what's wrong with liking something that's good? Like people are like, oh yeah, like now they want to like it. Isn't that good? Isn't that mean it's good? People visit Italy because it has amazing food and culture. What is that? Like, I get that like being overrun with tourists is not always positive, but like everybody listening to Bad Bunny, like why are you gatekeeping Bad Bunny? Like, be happy that whatever this guy, I don't know. Like people have been like have like made comments, not even specifically to me, but like I'll like look online and I'll see shit and I'm like, oh, people are like hating on the fact that like people now like people who don't speak Spanish love it. But like, to me, that should be something that's positive. So anytime I feel self-conscious, I talk myself out of it. I'm like, bro, fuck that. I'm allowed to listen to whatever the fuck I want. This is America. It's a free country. Go fuck yourself. Dude, I don't know about you. Some mornings I really like to get started off on the right foot. If I have a heavy breakfast or breakfast that I don't consider healthy or whatever, a lot of the time I will have a bad day after that. So sometimes I like to start my breakfast light with nutritious value, and it really kickstarts my day. And that's why I love the Mosh plant-based protein bar.
I like to work out of a coffee shop sometimes, and I don't like to, spend time boiling eggs or mixing up oatmeal. I just go into the fridge, I grab a Mosh protein bar, and I'm on my way. to start my day. It's great.
Dude, 100%. This company was founded by Patrick Schwarzenegger. Shout out Patrick Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver. Mosh is a mission-driven brain health and wellness company that donates a portion of all proceeds to support women's brain research through the Women's Alzheimer's Movement at Cleveland Clinic. I know that they had a person in their family who was going through it, and it kind of like inspired them to get going with a pretty cool brand and a delicious treat that also contains a lot of nutrients that support brain health, like ashwagandha, lion's mane, collagen, omega-3s. Each bar includes 12 grams of a blend of soy, pea, and pumpkin protein.
Strong.
And at just 170 calories, Ryan, with only 1 gram of sugar and 7 grams of fiber, Mosh plant-powered bars are the perfect way to start your day off right. Don't settle for a mediocre breakfast when you can nourish your body and mind with the fuel it needs to succeed. So, whether you've got a busy day ahead of you or you just want a quick and easy breakfast, Mosh's plant-powered bars will keep your brain and your body fit, fueled, and feeling good so you can start your day right. Head to moshlife.com/oops to save 20% off plus free shipping on your first 6-count plant-based trial pack. That's 20% off plus free shipping on your first 6-count plant-based trial pack, which includes 2 of each mouth-watering flavor, including apple cinnamon oatmeal, banana bread, and peanut butter chocolate. moshlife.com/oops. Keep sending us emails, oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. It's the easiest way to send it to us, where we will definitely read them all. Anything you have to say. But we have a couple of good ones here, so why don't we read them, Mr. Lynch?
That sounds good to me, Mr. Gallerati.
All right, sounds good. All right, hi, Julio. Question for the pod. I know you've had a lot of discussion about the amount of foreign countries you need to visit to not be a biker. By the way, before we continue this, I hope that when I talk about this, it doesn't come off as like condescending or something. That's just what I believe. I don't think that a person who hasn't traveled a lot is a piker. I just know how much it means to me and how much I've gotten out of it. And I suspect, and I know that anybody I know who's traveled a bunch has always said that it has done so much for them and they've learned so much, whatever. So I recommend it. I don't actually believe that you're a piker if you don't travel. Just want to put that out there. But for the sake of the general discussion, let's just say there's the piker cutoff, which we all know. 10 countries by your 30th birthday is the goal. If you don't get there right away, I still love you. Is that fair?
That's fair. You don't need to be so soft about it.
I know, dude, but it's just fucking, I don't want to come off as some fucking, there's something obnoxious about it, potentially. So
I think it's a good idea and I stand by it.
I like it. Is that from something?
That's the steering wheel guy from I Think You Should Leave.
I forgot about that. That's amazing.
What do we got?
Okay. I'm wondering if there's a similar metric for domestic travel and what is the minimum amount of states someone should have visited. Also, what would you consider a visit to the state? Does it count if you're on a road trip and drive through the state but only stop for gas, or you need to spend a certain amount of time there? I for sure would not count a flight layover if you never even leave the airport. Thanks, keep up the good work, and congrats on your recent engagement. Thank you. So I guess let's attack these one at a time. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I know your answer is you just need to go through it or be in it physically. It doesn't matter how long for it to be checked off the list, right?
Theoretically. For a country, I would say for sure.
Okay.
You've flown across the world and you're there. If you spend the day there, that counts. You know what I mean? To me. Not leaving the airport, I agree, does not count. But I being the list person that I am, which reminds me of that Liam Neeson sketch. You ever see that one? I love lists. I'm a big list guy. You ever see that one?
No.
There's this really legendary sketch. It's so old now that it'll like look shitty on YouTube. But it's from, I forget what show it was. But there's this legendary Liam Neeson sketch. It's like a Tim, what's the guy's name? Tim, how am I not remembering this? The famous British comedian. Am I fucking serious right now? His main, dude,
I don't know.
This might be so stupid that we need to cut it.
Okay.
He's literally the most famous comedian in the world. Who's the most famous British comedian you can think of? Ricky Gervais, dude. Tim. Oh, that was unbelievable.
It's Ricky Gervais?
Yes.
Okay.
Tim, dude, that was, guys.
Tim, I don't know his last name.
Guys, I've been sick. I'm sorry. My brain isn't working properly. I'm actually going for a brain scan soon. We should talk about this later.
Oh, wow.
I know. So anyway, Ricky Gervais and Liam Neeson comes in and he's like, I want to do comedy. And they're like, okay. Like, he's like, I want to do sketch comedy. They're like, all right, Liam. Like, dude, it's amazing. And it's potentially the funniest sketch of all time. And then just like Liam Neeson fully leaning into the fact that he's this serious, like, action hero. He's proposing all these things that are like not funny at all. And the back and forth is just truly incredible. He's like, okay, let's start. He's like, knock, knock. Who's there? And he's like, I've got AIDS. It's like, all right, Liam, AIDS is not. He's like, what? It's funny. Whatever. I'm not giving it justice.
I want to check it out. We'll check it out.
Many of you have probably seen it, but Lynch, you should definitely check it out.
I'll check it out. That sounds like fun.
Anywho, as far as like state visiting and pikerdom, I haven't really thought too specifically about the guidelines on that. I mean, growing up, I'm from the East Coast. I never really traveled west at all in any capacity until I was an adult. I think I went to California the first time when I was a comedian, 2012 or something. And then from there, I went like every year to California, but I had never been before that. I think I'd just been like East Coast. Brent, who's a big character on the pod, Brent Standard, he lived in Michigan. I visited him one summer. But I hadn't even really flown much as a kid besides going to Italy. Like, we went to Orlando one time. And besides that, as a family, I don't think we went on a plane besides going to Italy. So like, it took me a while to get where I am. And as I started to rack up a few states, I then became obsessed with trying to go to all of them. And during going into the pandemic, I'd been to like 38, I think. And then I did a road trip where I went through all of them besides Arizona and Alaska. And then later in the pandemic, I finished those. So I've been to all 50. I don't think that I don't have any sort of criteria for states, like I just said, but I do encourage you to go out there and check them all out. America has everything. If you look at the states of America, every single thing that you could want or need, and every kind of topography, everything in America. Plains, mountains. I know, the first episode we did solo, I talked about this, but Florida is like a full-on tropical. Florida is a tropical region, dude. Like, there are crocodiles in the Everglades. Crocodiles. That's crazy. It's the only place in America. And it's one of the only places that's temperate the entire year. I know like southern parts of Texas and California and Arizona are too, but most places get cold at some point. Florida never does. There are volcanoes. We have in Hawaii and Washington and the Pacific Northwest and, the mountain states, Wyoming, Colorado, just some of the most beautiful nature you'll ever see. Everything that you need to see is in America. I still think you should go to other countries from a cultural perspective, but I also think that every state has something interesting to offer. Like, there's no place is the same unless you're in like a strip mall and there's no noticeable nature anywhere, and there's like Jimmy John's and Subway and like that you can miss me with. That's pretty fucking boring, and most places have it, but every place has their gems too, even the states that I'm not as big of a fan of, which I'm not going to mention because I don't want to hurt my future. Everybody buys tickets. So
if Microsoft doesn't offer you a position at all, I feel like you could become a spokesperson for America.
I would like to.
Not that I feel like it doesn't take too much convincing to come here.
Dude, I told Hill Dog we need a big American flag on our front yard if we ever have a house.
Mm-hmm.
I want it. I want it.
So all right, question then. What are the 4 states that are touching that you can technically...
Oh, the 4 corners?
Okay, so the 4 corners. All right, okay. So you are at a networking event and you grab a cocktail and somebody comes up to you and they're like, Julio, I love the podcast. I actually love traveling too. Last week, I actually crossed 4 states off my list.
Oh, nice.
And you're like, oh, sweet. And then they tell you that they were at the
4 corners.
The 4 corners. What is your initial thought? How much longer do you want to speak to that person?
I know. I did. I definitely want to keep speaking to them, but I'm forgetting the 4 states I believe are Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado.
I'll look it
that
up.
Might have maybe Nevada. I think it's Nevada, Utah.
I think
New
Utah,
Mexico.
Arizona. Oh, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico.
Okay, so I think that's what I said the first time, right?
Yeah, and Nevada's not.
So this is the only thing I have to say is that those are 4 of the most incredible states culturally. Like, no, sorry, not even culturally, just like geography wise. Arizona, for some reason, the people feel a little like uptight there in this way that feels unique. I don't know what it is. Like, the cops are really stressed out there. Maybe it's just because it's like on the borders. I don't know. People feel like they are stressed in Arizona, and I don't get it. But the nature of all 4 of those places. I mean, the big 5 national parks in Utah are spectacular. Then Colorado, forget about it. You know what I mean? Like legendary. Colorado is interesting because it has like it's a little more densely populated than some of the other states, which to me is like takes a little bit away from the allure. Like if you're in Colorado, you cross into Wyoming, you immediately notice the difference. There's suddenly a ton of people to no one. Just like that. New Mexico, forget about it. Unbelievable place where natives, Mexicans, and white people all live harmoniously together. It's an incredible place. So anyway, all 4 of those places, and Arizona, is incredible too. So I would just say, okay, you've been to them, but like you need to go back.
So that's what you would say to them. You would explain.
No, I might not. I might just be like, oh man, like, have you ever been to any of those before? And they may be like, oh no. And I might be like, oh dude, you got to go back. Like, do you like mountains? Do you like this? Do you like that? I'd be like, Northern Flagstaff has skiing in Arizona. I don't know, whatever. But that's why I love my national park mission, because the national park system, 425 units, by going to all of them, you really cover the country pretty thoroughly because they're scattered nicely all over the different places. I know I've talked about this a bajillion times, but like, something that was created 1,000 years ago, like some of this stuff is like ancient culture stuff, it's not designed conveniently next to the highway. You inevitably end up on this gnarly adventure pretty much anywhere you're going to go to see any of this stuff. And that's my favorite part. So I'm going to finish a couple more of these specific thoughts that this person had, and then I want to talk more about that. Actually, we'll talk about it in the next episode. But okay, so the driving through thing, I would say that there is a way to drive through that doesn't count specifically. If you're on like a major highway and that is the only, and like you don't even drive through like a city or near a city or through like, how like big interstate highways sometimes will intersect in a big city. If you don't even hit one of those, like to me, maybe I wouldn't personally count it. But if you're driving through an entire state on one of those, you're going to stop at some point. Chances are you're going to do something significant enough that I would personally count it. But I agree with the airport thing not counting. Yeah.
Has that always been a rule of yours?
No, but I haven't. I think I thought about it recently. I'm like, if you do absolutely nothing unique at all and you are just on a full ass highway, you don't visit a single town, you don't visit a single rest stop off of the highway that is directly on the highway, like I don't necessarily count it.
Does that mean,
for me,
would you consider making revisions to your list and the numbers of states and countries that you visited
based on that?
Well, I know the states that you've stopped everywhere, but
no, my state and country situation right now, I don't feel need any revisions.
Cool. I was just curious.
Yeah. Because, road tripping through a country a lot of the time in other places, and maybe I'm not thinking thoroughly enough about this because I haven't been to certain places, but the places that I've been just by driving around. And by the way, if I'm driving, I've never just like driven through a country and gone to another country. It's just like too complicated. I'm there, I'm going to do stuff in the country, But there's this list beyond the list that I look at, which is like the recognized countries. There's this thing called the Traveler Century Club, which includes like a bunch of different factors, which is like territories. And it just ends up being a ton of islands. But if I were to somehow figure out a way to just like crush the countries thing, maybe I would move on to that more specifically. Mm-hmm. And sometimes even the countries thing is a little frowned upon. Like people are like, okay, like if you just think about it by countries, you're like not doing justice to like the different places in these countries. And some countries are really big. And like just by doing countries, it's just sort of like unsophisticated. I tend to kind of agree with that, but it's just like an easy metric because I just don't have time or money to do all this shit. Which is reminding me of something. I was at a Halloween party on Saturday. I ran into one of my friends. I was talking to her. And at some point we're talking, and she was like surprised by some of the things I was saying. She goes, I always just thought you were a rich kid.
Ooh. She's
like, you kind of get, and she didn't mean it offensively, and I didn't take it that way either. And she's like, yeah, like people, I've heard people like talk about you in a way where like people think that you're like a rich kid. It like bothered me.
How'd that make you feel?
Not good. I was just kind of like, huh, wow. Like, and I tried to like unpack the specifics of that a little more. I mean, I don't know. I remember being in school and hanging out with privileged people for the first time and being like, oh, damn, like I don't want them to know that I'm not. So at that point, I would have liked it if somebody said that. But now it's like, wow, well, that's funny. Like I tried so hard to like fit in that now I just like seem like that. So I don't know but like, I just want everybody to know I'm not a rich kid. Anybody who listens to the pod probably knows that. I mean, I'm not, I came up with like a pretty normal way, like a pretty average American way. I know my dad is like a professional, but like, he's not a lawyer. He's not a professional that like makes a lot of money. And like, his family didn't really have money. I didn't inherit money from my grandparents or anything, you know what I mean? So like he was like he's carrying the entire torch of the family. Self-made guy, impressive guy. And we just had a pretty average, modest upbringing. But we were fucking Italians, dude. Like good food in the fridge, always fresh food. I would always eat all the bocconcini. My mom would yell at me, who ate all the bocconcini? Guys, if you're looking for a good gift to give in this upcoming holiday season, we highly recommend the Skylight frame. It is a user-friendly fan favorite. People love it. I love it for myself. I love it as a gift. I love it as a way to sort of gift like a specific experience. So say there's been some great milestone that's just happened. You took a bunch of photos and you want to show the best photos from that event. You can give the Skylight frame, and when you give it, it can already have those specific photos uploaded to it. Then they can do whatever they want. As time goes on, they can filter through different photos, curate it however they want. Anybody can upload to it specifically as long as they have the corresponding information, and it makes for a great heartwarming gift as well as a nice decorative piece in a new apartment or an existing apartment.
Or one that hasn't been built yet.
Or one that hasn't been built yet,
Yeah.
Ryan.
It's a hashtag thoughtful gift.
Hashtag very thoughtful gift.
Yeah, and we've been with Skylight Frames for a while now. We've partnered with them in the past, and
absolutely,
they're fantastic. There's a reason that we continue to love working with them. It's a beautiful product.
And there's a reason why they keep buying ads with us, because we actually like the product. We're not BSing here, guys. It is a great thing. It's a great thing to give to somebody. We love ours in our apartment, and we think you're going to love it too. So right now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, you can get $15 off of your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/oops. To get $15 off of your purchase of a Skylight frame, just go to skylightframe.com/oops. That's skylightframe.com/oops. Get a Skylight frame. I've been watching some of these travel videos. Shout out to Drew Binsky, who we need to get on the pod sometime, dude. Who the fuck knows where he is? He's somewhere out there in the field right now. But like, I don't know that I'm ready yet to like take on another like really scrappy trip. Like the idea of camping and having a squatty potty, not the one that you're thinking of, like a squatty potty where there's a hole and it's like, I can maybe get sick. Like the idea of going through that, like it just sounds too exhausting for me right now. I don't know that I feel like doing that. So I sometimes worry. I'm like, am I just getting soft? Like, here's this big goal that I had that consumed so much of my life. Like, what if I become less interested in it suddenly?
Could that be okay?
Yeah. I'm sure any therapist would say, maybe that's good, Julio. I keep saying my name, bro. Stop saying my name. Julio, that sounds pretty good to me, Julio. One of my, I had a shrink one time. I haven't gone to therapy in a while. I might need to get back in there. Could be good.
I need to sign up for therapy.
It's healthy. I remember my shrink was telling me I was having girl problems in my 20s. I wouldn't say like girl problems as far as like spending time with girls, but like girl problems in that anyone who I really liked for whatever reason, it just like didn't end up working out. I could attribute it to a lot of things. I didn't have like a solid foundation. It was like if I found somebody who I could date, suddenly there were like holes in my foundation that only those people would know. They'd be like, oh, this guy sort of like doesn't have his shit together. He lives in someone else's house. He doesn't make a lot of money. You know what I mean? I don't know. Whatever. It's not like money matters, but like, it's an expensive city, and if they want to do stuff, and it's not like they would even be expecting me to pay for all of it. It's just like, can I even pay for my share? And the answer is probably no, But I remember the guy was telling me, he's like, his favorite date that he used to go on. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a sick date. They would go to dinner in Chinatown at some like random ass, like campy Chinese restaurant, where they have the music and the fish tanks and the paintings and maybe Peking duck, whatever. Then after that, get boba tea and put liquor in it.
Is boba tea with the bubbles?
Yeah. It might be bubble tea, boba tea. I don't know. I don't know if those are the same thing or not. put liquor in it, and then go get foot rubs. And I was like, that's kind of a fucking fire date, dude.
That is fun.
Right? And it's like affordable. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but it gives off this authentic and spontaneous kind of fun.
Yeah, you can kind of like overcome the fact that you didn't spend a lot of money on it because it's like so thoughtful and fun. And and that's an interesting thing too. Like, you know, a really like hot customer, right? Like a top of society pull. You have a date with her, right? You can almost like offset the not spending a lot of money thing because it's like going to be different than what she normally does. Because maybe these like big baller guys are taking her out and they're going to all the same spots. Suddenly here you are, this fun guy. I don't know. Stuff out there, dude. What were we talking about? How did we get into the therapy thing?
Travel.
Surprise.
Girl problems.
Travel, girl problems.
You potentially being too soft to continue.
Oh,
traveling.
yeah. I feel like maybe I'm getting soft. But I don't know, dude. I'm just tired, bro. You gotta be honest. I'm just really fucking tired, worn down.
Well, 2024 is gonna be a busy year for you too.
I think so.
You have the wedding and everything. Do you have any trips planned right now?
Nope.
So 2024, most likely, you're probably not gonna do a crazy big one. Is that tough to put you in that bucket?
Yeah, that's hard to hear. Like I want to. So Nicaragua video, by the way, is almost done. I saw a rough cut of it. Somebody edited it for me, which now I'm like, wow, dude, I need whatever money I spend on a trip, I need to spend half that and get this guy to edit because how nice it has been. Like part of me can't help but think that 9 months that I spent editing Afghanistan, I could have been doing things that would have like grown my brand and my career and allowed me to then pursue more of these kind of things. Play by the rules so that I don't have to play by the rules. So figure out ways to like make content, make more content, like be out there, grow my shit instead of spending all my energy editing, right? So this time I'm like, so this guy Josh, who's my boy now, he's a great guy, edited this Nicaragua shit for me. It looks amazing. So we're going to go back and forth, do some notes, fix some stuff, put the finishing spit shine on it. And I'm excited for you all to see that. That's pretty sick. But I really want to figure out a scenario where that is the way that I'm attacking it moving forward. In which case doing the trip is not daunting and is very doable. I have a couple of ideas, which I maybe share with you guys. I have the food training to prevent food poisoning idea, which I could then just tack on to another idea. I like the idea of going and spending time in a Buddhist temple for a monastery for a week, doing the whole 9 yards, shaving my head, rocking and rolling.
That would be fun to see.
I think it would be fun. It would be contained. It would be easy to shoot, easy to edit, hopefully. And we could do a lot of like stylized, cool shots. And it would be nice, man, because the brain scan, I'm worried that my brain is like inflamed constantly. And they say that an inflamed brain leads to like degenerative brain stuff, which sort of is in my family a bit too.
Wow.
So I sort of can't help but think, you need to chill, dude. This isn't a big deal. Your life is not that stressful. You're lucky to be where you are. If 5 years ago you could have seen where you are right now, you'd be really happy. You would be like, I can just be content like that. But you know, you level up and suddenly you have a new reality, and now you just get all these new kinds of stresses. And I've just been in a cycle where I feel like I'm going to bed stressed and waking up stressed the second I wake up. The second I grab my phone and look at it, I immediately just have crippling anxiety.
Dude, I'm so interested to hear about the brain scan thing.
Yeah,
same. That scares me a lot.
Yeah.
You doing it, me thinking about doing it, just finding.
Do you want to do it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because this girl's doing a study.
I don't want to do it.
Are you sure?
Wait, she's doing a
free
brain scan?
It normally costs like $2,000 to do the brain scan. But if you participate in her study, which is just like a quick interview, takes like an hour, then you get it for free.
Wow.
And she was asking for other people, other comedians.
Okay. So here's the thing.
You don't have to.
I'm so scared to find out what could be wrong with my brain. I'm nervous that they're going to find something, and I'd rather just be living in blissful ignorance.
So, but let me ask you this. What if they find something early and now you so dude, it's crazy to me. The amount of comedians who think they're dying is actually crazy to me. I didn't realize. I don't feel that way, but a lot of people that I know are like, think they have a terminal illness like all the time. I'm like, Jesus. So like, I agree with you. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, I'd rather not find out. But like, then it just gets worse and worse and worse. And we want to live to be 100, Ryan. Maybe you should come on the Buddhist trip with me.
Yeah.
Could be sick.
I'll do a lot of crying if I go on the Buddhist trip. A lot of crying.
We'll do one last thing. And this is funny. Sometimes like I'm used to being the solid person for the people in my life. So people are stressed. People have problems. They come to me, and I think people feel that I typically have good perspective and good positive advice that makes sense, that makes people feel better. So sometimes when I'm the person who needs the comforting, if things don't go well, aren't going well for me or whatever reason, or if I'm really stressed, sometimes I struggle seeking out that help. And that's a wrong impulse. But then sometimes I do. And like, obviously Hill Dog, life partner, is a great person to do it with. And then sometimes my parents too. But then sometimes I worry about bringing it up to my parents because I'm afraid that I'll have this vulnerable moment where I just kind of wanted to blow off some steam, no strings attached. If I'm stressed about money, I don't want them to now feel like they need to help me financially because I don't want that. And I don't want them to think that that's what I was doing. Also, if I'm just like feeling bad, and now my dad tends to give really good advice, but then sometimes I just feel uncomfortable. And then I worry that by bringing it up, he's going to, every time he talks to me, be like, so remember that thing the other day? And like, I do not want to talk about it anymore. You know what I mean? Like Ricky, I would say, can be a comforting person for me sometimes if I'm ever going through a tough time, which like doesn't, again, like it doesn't happen that often. But as things progress with my business and as I have to make like bigger decisions with more money, it becomes a thing where I'm like impressed by these mega tycoon guys and how and people say that guys like that have bum tickers, dude, because it's just too much pressure.
What does that mean?
Like their heart.
Oh, their heart?
Like suffers from the stress. Because you can't tell they're stressed, but they're stressed. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
Are you stressed all the time?
No. Dude, I'll say this, like in the past, and I don't even know how I did it, but like, I think I was just so excited after that, from the Taylor Swift commercial up until like maybe we started at Barstool. That period of time was like the golden era of my life up to this point. Stress-free, things were just so solid and consistent. And like, I didn't want for more like I do now. Like for whatever reason, now I'm like suddenly become so ambitious. Like, what the fuck's that all about?
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I guess. But during that time, like I was living comfortably. I never felt like I was living above my means in any capacity. I could afford to go on these trips and film them. I don't know how I was able to do all that. I'm like, I guess a combination of like the pandemic, like being a time where I wasn't spending a lot of money. I had commercials running. I was getting residuals. The pod was cooking. The pod is still cooking. But like all those things combined were contributing to this like chill lifestyle. And I think I was also just getting used to like being at this next level financially for the first time, which felt good. But then once you get used to it, suddenly your lifestyle catches up. And before you know it, you can't afford your life anymore. Not that I can't afford my life, but like I'm doing a special, you know what I mean? That's going to end up costing a lot of money. I want to keep making videos. I want to do all these things. And we just got to decide, make sacrifices.
Today, hip-hop dominates pop culture, but it wasn't always like that. And to tell the story of how that changed, I want to take you back to a very special year in rap.
88, it was too much good music. The world was on fire.
Yeah. I'm Will Smith. This is Class of 88, my new podcast about the moments, albums, and artists that inspired a sonic revolution and secured 1988 as one of hip-hop's most important years. We'll talk to the people who were there. And most of all, we'll bring you some amazing stories. You know what my biggest memory from that tour is? It was your birthday.
Yes, and you brought me the Sade life-size cardboard cutout.
This is Class of 88, the story of a year that changed hip-hop.
Listen to Class of 88 wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge the entire series right now on the Amazon Music app or Audible.
Are you good at budgeting? Scale 1 to 10, how would you rate your efficiency in budgeting?
I have a loaded answer to this, and I want to hear what you think about yourself as well.
Okay.
But if you want to answer first.
I think that I am not good at budgeting.
Really?
And I need to button that up. Because when I left my corporate job, I left with a bit of savings, and I felt really comfortable taking, a year to kind of figure things out. And now I'm in like year 2.5, and I'm still good, but now it's getting to the point where I still have been living the lifestyle that I had when I was making my money at the corporate job. And now I need to start making decisions of like, okay, Ryan, maybe you don't need to go have a $200 dinner on Friday and then buy everybody a round of drinks on Saturday and not Venmo request for it. And then, go grocery shopping so that you're saving money by not going out, but then thinking that grocery shopping is a productive activity, so I deserve to get takeout on the walk home from the grocery store. Well, I'm going to have groceries all week, so I might as well get, a burrito or something on the way back. And you know what? Fuck it. Let me get some chips.
Yeah.
And it's those little things. I'm trying to be mindful of the little things, but like I don't have an Excel sheet where I'm like docking things in on a monthly basis. I'm just paying my credit card bill every month on time. But in that, like, just the money's going down a little bit. And I got to find more ways to offset that.
No, I feel you, dude. And the inner I deserve this conversation is something I've always had. I would give myself, so what do you score yourself out of 10?
I'd give myself maybe a 3, just because everything's okay. And I'm aware that there's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
And I got to get better about it.
Well, I think about this too sometimes because I'm like, okay, Lynch, he has taken this big leap and he's doing comedy. He's seeing how long it takes. But I'm sure he also feels, this is me thinking what you think. And I have no idea what you think.
Sure, come in my mind.
So I'm like, come in my mind. I think that you're like, okay, this is a grind. Like I'm realizing. Glad I started youngish. And also I have this advantage where I have this pod that's giving me a little bit of a platform, which I'm now really participating in. That must be a thing that's a great thing. But still, I'm not seeing where all the money that I need is going to come from. And I think about that, and that adds stress to my plate because I want you to live a fulfilled life and feel like you're making the right decisions, which I think you are. And this is a brutal grind, you know what I mean? And it's wonderful and it's fun. But that the reality of it can settle in occasionally and you can have a tough day and it just is what it is. You know what I mean? It's tough out there, dude. I don't know how close I was to nailing any real thoughts.
It's pretty solid. I would say I'm in like year 2.5. I wish it's always better late than never, but like I wanted to start doing comedy like as soon as I started working for you guys, because you and Francis, I was like, oh my God, like this would be great. Like I want to do it too. And working with them on the podcast is going to like help me, learn. And then, being around them will make me more confident, which ended up happening and leading me to doing it. But I lived here for a whole year before even doing an open mic, or 9-10 months. And I remember telling myself when I was like, Brian, when you move to Brooklyn, you got to get started. And I just kept finding excuses to not start right away. And I know it was only 9 months, but the city is very expensive. And like 9 months, who knows where I could be if I was 9 months ahead of where I am now.
Yeah.
Just the smallest of things like could be different in a better way, but better late than never. And I am happy with where things are right now and where they're heading. But financially, I do think it would have been within my best interest to get started a little sooner, because
listen, and
it's just more time in the city not making that money.
Totally. And I will say this, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, it won't end up being that much time. You started when you were 25?
What?
Doing stand-up?
27.
You started when you were 27?
Earlier this year in April.
Okay. So yeah, look, I think that's like...
I'm at 2.5 years working with you, like not working in my corporate job, because that's where I was talking about like my salary.
So you left the corporate job when you were how old?
25.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Then,
I didn't know if you're talking about the stand-up or not.
No.
Yeah,
so then a year after that, you started stand-up.
Yes.
So when you were 26 or when you were 27?
Right when I turned 27.
Okay. So yeah, look, I mean, I think you're in a good spot. I mean, like it's all you, everyone says I could have started younger. I feel that way. Even I started when I was 22, you know what I mean? I was like, oh man, I could have started. I never think it's too late. I mean, it gets harder as you start older, but as long as I really believe if you don't have a 3 in front of your age, I think you like have that same youth advantage. So I don't think you need to like feel like you need to make up for lost time personally. Not that you asked for my thoughts on it, but I think you're in a good spot. And you know, by having all this stuff going for you, you have a good TikTok, you're good at, you know how like all the shit works, and you get to, you know, you have a gig in this that like gives you a nice little bit of a cushion, and you get to at least work in the world, which not everybody gets to do. A lot of people make that same amount of money doing shit that's much more soul crushing for real. And even people who are like my peers, dude, guys who are like guys who have bigger careers than me are doing that kind of shit still. So it's just that's an interesting thing to examine too. Like there's a way to make money, and then there's a way to somehow not make money. And those two people might be at the same skill level. Yeah. It's kind of scary.
That is well said. So yeah, I am happy, and I'm confident in where I am. It's just, I was having like, not the Sunday scaries, but I was sick, and you know, Venmo, like I had these bachelor parties that like I'm getting $500 and $600 Venmo requests, and then I'm like, let me check the bank account. I just paid 2 credit cards, and I see the number, and I'm just like, Ryan, you got to make some better decisions, bro. Like I'm like trying to I'm like disassociating myself from my body to have these conversations with like, you're okay, everything's fine, like you're chilling, but like I'm talking to you right now. Like now's a good time to starting, you know, start taking care of some stuff.
Totally.
So yeah.
No, absolutely, man.
That's good. I appreciate what you said too.
Yeah, of course. It all resonates. And specifically when I'm sick, I really feel that pressure because, and I recently was, I don't think I talked about this, but like last night, dude, I slept 15 hours. I was just worn down from all the shit that's been happening. Like, meaning not like shit that's been happening, just like my schedule has finally like collapsed on me a little bit. I'm like, I was on the road, I get back, I have 7 shows, I then have a party, I need to go to this, and I just wake up not feeling 100% that morning, and I'm like, fuck. And I know how long that can take. That can take a few days to recover from. And I'm like, I don't have that. So then I start panicking. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to bed at 8 o'clock. And I did. And I will say, I feel much better today than I typically would at this stage. Because the specific thing that I get is the thing that I get when I'm tired. It's this like sinus infection kind of like thing.
Just overtired?
I think so, dude.
Yeah.
And during that time where I suddenly don't have the energy to do any of the stuff I need to do, I'm like, I can't do anything right now, but there's so much that needs to be done. Oh my God, I'm fucked. And to me, part of it, and I'm sure, hopefully you guys listening can relate to this a little bit, because I'm sure that there are elements of this with everybody's lives. I know sometimes comedians think they live this like uniquely cursed life or whatever, but you know, I don't think you have to just be in the arts in order to do this. I'm sure like balancing a family and a career or whatever, I'm sure that people know what we're talking about right now. And I really think that a lot of the time you don't need to be as special or as great or as focused as you think to get things done. Because by thinking that, it turns into this crippling thing that prevents you from doing anything, as opposed to just being like, it's okay. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take a crack at it. Don't put expectations on how long it's going to take. Don't try to rush through it. Just sit there and do it. And it's not that big of a deal. And it doesn't have to be difficult. My dad will say this too. He's like, it's a game. It's a game. And sometimes he doesn't seem stressed. And he made the point. He's like, I might not seem stressed, but you know, that you can't base what I seem like and compare it to what's actually going on. So don't look at me and think this, you know, of course, you know, I'm like, oh, that's comforting. But anyway, good luck out there, folks.
Yeah.
It's tough. And we think you can power through and get it done.
Yeah. Send us any emails with any of your stories that relate to anything. I know we kind of went across the board today.
Yeah, we'll help you with any stuff you got going on. Tonight, I am in Louisville, Kentucky at Laughs Louisville. I believe that is the name of the club. 7:30 p.m. show, one show. I'm really excited. I've never been there before. So please send your recommendations if you have them. Then the 10th, I am in St. Pete at Coastal Creative, which has kind of become like my home road club. I've done it 3 times in the past year and a half. It's always amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. And the big show for me, as you see on my hat, 12/16, Toronto. It's the biggest venue I've ever headlined. I really want to sell it out. If you guys can tell your friends, tell people to come out, get them to come out. It will be so helpful to me to pack that fucking room out and to show everybody what I can do. I already know we've started to make a solid dent into the ticket sales, so hopefully that can continue. Get them now, because I do actually think that it will turn into a thing where there aren't many left. So I'm very, very excited about that. And then keep your eyes peeled for my special taping, which may be in a town near you. Just a little hint, it might be in a hot market for Oops the Podcast. So look forward to seeing you there. Ryan, you got anything coming up?
I'll be performing at the Black Cat Lower East Side this Friday at 9 p.m. I'll be on Danny Palmer's show. So check me out at Ryan is Really Polite. Email us, oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on social, and we'll see you guys next week.